Welcome back, y'all, to another episode 37 of Spittin' Hoops. It's me, it's Anthony. This is the hat episode, and Anthony's got a new chair. How we doing?
What's going on? Dude, taxes. I just started some taxes.
You just started your
Like,
taxes?
yeah, I'm trying to get ahead of it, man. Be a bit more of an adult.
Your W-2s? You got any 1099s, bro?
I got a few 1099s. I'm trying to figure it out. I can't speak too much about it on the pod, you know what I'm saying? But it's
Yeah.
tax season, ladies and gentlemen. It'll finish up right around the start of the NBA playoffs. So
That's a
get ready for
PSA
it.
for y'all. That's a tax.
Yeah.
You didn't think you were gonna get a tax PSA
No.
on Spittin' Hoops, but here we are. It's a quick
Yes,
intro
sir.
because honestly, I am buzzing. I am
Mm.
so excited. It's been too long since our last pod, and there's been a lot of stuff in the NBA and a lot of fun stuff to rant about, and I can't wait for y'all to watch. It's gonna be fun.
Let's get it.
Let's get right into it.
Oh,
Do you want to start us off here?
yeah. So as we've talked about, congratulations. Bucks have a new head coach, Doc Rivers, long career, done with his gig as a commentator on the sideline. Did a pretty good job. Liked him a lot. Now he's with the Bucks. Bucks are in a tricky spot here, Max. Max, what is going on with the Bucks? Quick recap of what has happened recently. Not a very hot start to the season. Ironically, guess who is going to be coaching the All-Star game? None other but the man we're about to talk about, Doc
Adrian
Rivers.
Griffin. No, just don't kidding.
Yo, that would be crazy. An
Yes,
Adrian
he
Griffin
comes back.
clause. Yeah, they need that actually.
That'd be kind of
Like,
he kind of
yeah,
earned it low key.
dude, yeah, Luke Walton looking at it. So they're 1-3, I believe, since Doc Rivers hiring. And it's just not looking good, Max. What's going on here?
6-point loss to Denver, 3-point loss to Portland. Then they won a game, 14-point loss, 14-point win against Dallas. But the reason we're talking about this is they had a total. I'm trying to come up with like politically correct words to use here, but they had a total breakdown against the Utah Jazz. One of the worst ones that I've ever seen, bro. Honestly, they're up like 15 going into the fourth. They get outscored by 40 or outscored by 30. Sorry, in the fourth quarter, 40-15. And honestly, I don't want to blame a singular person, but when something like that happens, it's hard not to look at the coach. So in the fourth quarter, let's go over this really quickly. Starting lineup, classic starting lineup. They played 10 minutes together, 9 minutes together. Jay Crowder and Giannis played 12 minutes of the fourth quarter. There is one person who's been playing really well for them, someone that Doc Rivers admitted he did not know up until recently, AJ Griffin. He played 21 minutes for them. He's been really good, actually. He's one of the best three-point shooters, most efficient three-point shooters. He's got some limitations elsewhere, but in general, has been one of the better plus-minus players on their team. He played 3 minutes in the fourth quarter after shooting 3 for 6 from three, and it's like, are we just gonna keep running out Jay Crowder and Malik Beasley? Like, is that the solution here? And Doc Rivers did talk about this, and he was like, obviously, I know certain players, and I've seen them play, and I've coached against them, or I've coached them, but I don't know everyone. So that's an adjustment period, which I respect him for admitting. But that's when you
Sure.
lose games like this. That's when
Mm.
you lose games where AJ Green's got 10 points and he's 3 for 6. You walk in the fourth quarter, you play him 2 minutes. And if you want to roll with your guys like Bobby Portis, Malik Beasley, and Jay Crowder, it's like we saw how that worked with the last coach. I don't know.
Dude, yeah. I mean, shout out Doc Rivers, man.
Are you
He's
on
just trying to
Are you
find
on
his
panic
way.
stations? Because I might be on panic.
Nah, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not on panic mode. I
Not on panic
mean,
at all.
I hear you and I want to hear why you're on panic mode, but I don't know. It's just in spite of all this, there are teams that are catching up to them, and we are going to talk about that. But some teams are catching up. At the same time, some of the big question marks in the East have either gotten bigger or they remain as where they are. Now, we got to see kind of what happens. Playoff matchups are going to be kind of wild. If they make it right now as is, they play the Magic in the first round. I think they can still kind of figure it out. But to your point, I don't know if they're going to be winning because of Doc Rivers. They might be winning in spite of him. So I mean, he's blowing leads, bro.
Well, they're not winning right now. They're 1 for
Yeah.
3. They're 1-3 with them. I don't know. I just feel like if you just fired your coach and then you go 1-3, like it's not looking
Yeah.
great. I don't
It's
want to
not.
overreact too quickly, but also they're 12-12 this season on the road, which is like the 10th best record on the road in the East. Like that's not great. They're not particularly better against the East or like within their own conference than elsewhere. Also, like they kind of have a pretty average record where you'd expect them to be given their current record within their conference. So it's like these things aren't really inspiring a lot of confidence in me in the Eastern Conference. I don't know. You're a
Yeah.
Celtics fan. I would feel good, basically.
Bro, I mean, it's been kind of good against the Celtics recently. We've had their number a bit in the they I think we're 2-1. We're 2-1 against the Bucks in the Giannis Tatum era. So not overly concerned about them in the first place. This I mean it doesn't look good. I don't know if I'm pressing the panic button the same way you are because you got to give these guys some time. But 15-10 versus teams that are 500 and above. So kind of mid. Um, I don't know. We'll have to see. When you got Giannis Antetokounmpo, anything is possible, dude.
You're right, but I don't know.
And that might be some lazy analysis right there.
I mean, it's not lazy. It's you've got Giannis. He's done it before, but I'm a little worried. I don't know. But to be fair, I've also been worried all season. And then the way the season's gone, obviously nothing's happened to change my opinion if I was already worried at the beginning of the season. So like, I don't
What
know.
if we keep walking here though,
All right,
and
walk for me.
think about since Budenholzer was fired, since that first round playoff in Miami, it hasn't really looked good in Milwaukee in general. Like the vibes are a little strange. Dame time hasn't really felt like Dame time. Chris
Yeah.
Middleton is still trying to get his way back to fully healthy. Hasn't been the same guy he was in the last couple of years. And I mean, you brought up Bobby Portis. Brooke Lopez is always a question mark. He's getting older. So the roster is in some interesting spots. Giannis loved Drew Holiday. I don't know, man. What's up with Milwaukee?
Well, Giannis didn't re-sign his contract till he knew they were getting like a big upgrade in Dame, right? Like, I don't know. Like, that's an interesting concept to me where he was kind of holding the front office hostage a little bit. And that almost put them in a weirder spot where, like, in theory, if you were gonna trade Drew Holiday, you'd like to get younger. And they kind of have just the same age group of team as they used to. And that was kind of the worry before. Even when they won the chip, it's like, okay, they won the chip. All their guys are old, even when they won the chip. And it's like they haven't gotten younger. If anything, they've doubled down on older players. And it's like there's a lot of talent, right? There's a lot of talent here. But you're right. Since they won the chip, since they all those players were in their full on primes, like it's not been great. I don't know.
Yeah. Still, I mean, since Doc's been here, letting up an average of 120 points per game.
You allegedly had two guys in top six defense player of the year voting or something like that last year.
Mm, yeah. So that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and then they beat the Mavs. So it's sort of they can still do it, but it doesn't look great.
I mean, they're they're able to do it. The thing is, they got too much talent to be bad. Like they're going to be fine in the regular season. They'll be a top
Yeah.
four seed, right?
Right. Mm.
But nothing. I will say nothing. I think if you were a believer in the squad, you look at them. They're second in the East. I don't think you're pressing the panic station if you're like a true believer in them. But I also think respectfully in my situation where I don't really believe in them, they fired their coach a week ago. They fired their
you
coach a week ago. Like I don't. They didn't believe in themselves. I don't like.
you're being affirmed right now.
Yeah. I don't know. Moving on. I guess.
Mm.
Next thing, another team that Doc Rivers used to coach, funnily enough. Uh, the Los Angeles Clippers. They're up to third in the West. They're actually ahead of the Denver Nuggets, according to win percentage, which is kind of funny. I think there's a crazy stat where they're like 30 and like 10 since getting James Harden. Maybe even it might be even better than that because they started the season, I believe, 3-5, something like that. So fun stats there. Um, in general, just want to give them a shout out, I guess. I think they're looking pretty amazing. A little worried about Paul George here and there, but I don't know.
Dude, yeah. That's always their Achilles heel is no pun intended, but their health. And that's the big worry. But man, yeah, shout out the Clippers, dude. They're doing their thing. They're balling. They look really good. What's their record against plus 500 teams? It's 16-11. But to your point, they lose their first 4 or 5 games in a row with Harden, and they've just been killing it ever since, bro. Like nonstop. Paul George is an all-star. Congratulations. We will talk about that more in a bit. Kawhi Leonard, obviously an all-star and having an MVP caliber season. Looks pretty much like the team that we kind of expect is always going to be there if they're healthy. And that's exactly what they're doing. So it's not that much of a surprise. It's almost like a, hey, we're back. Good to see you guys. It's the Clippers. We still got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. If we have James Harden, that's going to make it better because we got two swing guys that can play both ends of the court. And then you have an energizer buddy and Russell Westbrook coming off the bench.
That both ends of the court point, I just want to like I don't know. I just want to make that a big point. They have a better defensive rating than the Thunder. Pretty much on par with the Nuggets right now overall this season. Like when James Harden's playing 35 minutes for your team, you're not necessarily expecting that, especially on a team that doesn't have like a traditionally really good big man, which that's usually how you get by in the regular season for defensive rating. Um, so I'm very impressed.
And it talks about how they're going to translate to the playoffs. I mean, what's their path? What's their path to winning, dare we say, the championship this year?
They've got a path. I don't know if I can drive for you necessarily, but if they, I think that
Let's
the T-Wolves matchup, if you get a second round matchup against the T-Wolves and a first round matchup against the Kings, if I'm the Clippers, I'm pretty happy with that. Like,
right now the Clippers are matched up with the Suns.
and that's the thing. If you're the nightmare with the Clippers is you get into a 7 game first round playoff series, and now Paul George and Kawhi are tired. Like,
Yeah.
so that's kind of my worry with them. I think
Mm-hmm.
weirdly enough, the route to the finals is one that needs to be pretty easy. But like I know the Celtics are really good. I know the Bucks, etc. All these teams in the East are really good, but the Clippers could hypothetically beat just about anyone just based off star power. Like I don't know. I can't really rule them out.
The only thing I'm thinking about is looking at this 500 and above is the Phoenix Suns specifically are 10-14 against teams that are 500 above. The Kings are 13-13. The Mavs are 10-18. It kind of looks like the Nuggets, Clippers, Timberwolves, and Thunder have started to pull away. There might be a change, right? But it kind of looks like the top four is starting to solidify a bit in the West. And so, unless Sacramento, Phoenix, New Orleans, the Mavs, I don't see any of those teams going on a run. Definitely don't see the Lakers. So, it's going to be one of those teams, and those are going to be some really cool matchup potentials
I will say I do think there's space for I do think there's space for a surprise playoff run,
for a run. Yeah.
specifically out of the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a major believer in them, but their 5-man lineup that starts their games like Beal, KD, and
Oh
Booker
my
is
Lord.
one of the best ones in the league according to advanced
Yeah.
stats. They've only
Beal
played like
recently.
they've only played like 300 minutes together or something like that this year. So I do think there's space. Like as much as there's a lot of good teams in the West, I can make an argument against a lot of these teams,
Mm-hmm.
except for the Nuggets, which we'll get to later, in my opinion. But yeah,
Suns to me are still kind of a paper dragon. A little bit. Like they have good metrics and I get that. But what's gonna happen in the playoffs, dude? Like what's gonna happen when you kind of had it? It was 2-on-5 last year against the Nuggets in the second round, and this year it's gonna be 3-on-5. So how's that gonna look? How's that gonna work when the game is slowed down, the pace is slowed down? Who's gonna get hurt? I got a lot of questions for the Suns, but they'd be a fire matchup too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like the Clippers right now.
Yeah.
The Suns,
They look good. They look good. I got to give a shout out
yep.
to, we got to give a shout out to Russell Westbrook. Congratulations on making it to the 25,000 point club. He had a layup in victory against the Pistons. No surprise that They had a victory there. Reached 25K, I think is the 25th player in NBA history to make it to that bar. And Max, I wanted to just give a little bit more of a historical shout out for Russell Westbrook here. So in his 5 year peak from 2015 to 2020, he averaged 26, 9.5, and 9.7 rebounds and assists per game, almost 2 steals a game. So almost a triple double for 5 year stretch. He has an MVP. He has 9 All NBAs, 10 All Stars, I believe, maybe or 11 or 12. He's been top 10 in the MVP voting 6 times. So just the highs of the highs, really. And when he was the best player on one of the worst supporting casts that I think either of us have ever seen in the Oklahoma City Thunder, he drafted them to the 6th seed, and they made it to the playoffs, and they won a game. And that was one of the worst rosters. The on-off numbers when he was there versus when not were so bad that he got mad at a reporter for bringing it up in that first round series. So yeah, just shout out to Russell Westbrook, man, and he's really done that mellow route where he's kind of changed his, okay, I'm not a superstar anymore. I can't go out there and play the same way. The game's kind of left behind what I'm so good at. So I'm just going to figure out how to be great in a different way. And I think it speaks to why the Clippers are playing so well. Can't really measure that on paper. He's a great teammate. Everybody's talked about how great of a teammate he is, no matter where he goes. He hasn't been able to get it done in several moments. Lack of a jump shot's gonna not gonna help that. Lack of two-way versatility as he's gotten older is not really gonna help that. But overall, just one of the best players in NBA history, as we go in far in terms of like top 50, top 75 ratings. And just congratulations to a guy that's just great. So seems like he has a home here, and shout out.
I think that's super well said. He deserves all of his flowers. Been in the league, what, 16 years now? Still playing 25 minutes a game on one of the best teams in the league. Like, um, thoroughly been one of the most entertaining, and like just most fun players to watch. I don't know.
Dude.
I,
Yeah.
I, there's nothing more that can be said. This is a guy who every player in the NBA swears down that they loved playing with Russ. And honestly, that's one of the things that definitely sets him apart in my eyes. I've never seen teammates defend Russ the way teammates have. And that's because Russ defends his teammates like Russ does. Which
Oh yeah.
I think he's an amazing player. Seems like a great guy. Does a lot of stuff, like clothing stuff on the side to like support like small artists, which I think is like super cool. Like you don't need to do that, but you do, which is awesome. Big shout out. Big shout out. This has given us some of the best memory our basketball memories that we've seen. Some of the best moments that we've seen. I don't know. Whether that's
Dude.
remember the first season averaged a triple double, right? Where he had the
Mhm.
game winner on the last game of the season.
Yeah.
Like a magical night to cap
Yeah.
off a magical season. And
Against Denver, right?
I think
Like the
so.
50 piece where he hit
Where
that deep three.
the inbound deep three. Yeah.
He there was something where he could shoot it. Like he was a really good shooter when it mattered. It felt like for a few seasons there where he would just hit every big shot.
Well, the season he scored 32 points per game. He straight up averaged 35% from three on like 8 threes a game, which like if you're able to get to the rack at that efficiency, if you're able to
Yeah.
shoot the three like that, it's tough to guard.
Yeah.
Like
It's game over.
I don't know what you're supposed to do. Not to mention he also averaged a triple double alongside the 32 points a game. But
Yeah.
also I love these guys who are just marathon players. He basically doesn't get hurt for the first like 10 years of his career. He has some
Mhm.
seasons like 60 games, but not only that, he's playing 35 minutes a game for like 10 seasons straight, 80
Yeah.
games. Played 82 games or played 80 plus games like 6 times in his career.
Wow.
Like I res I respect that so much, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna see him out there. And there's been the playoffs in 2014, the Thunder had been there 2 seasons ago, and he collides knees with Patrick Beverly. Remember that? And he gets injured. And then, I mean, the Thunder don't have a chance to really advance after that. So,
And
man,
honestly, I think that was kind of that might have been a little bit of the beginning of the knee injuries for him, which is a little bit
hmm
unfortunate, but Um, something wholesome. Didn't Pat Bev and Russ get united on a team recently
Lakers?
on the
Was
Lakers?
that Lakers for a bit?
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of wholesome, kind of
yeah.
wholesome. Uh, anything else there with Russ? I think we did. I think we did him justice.
No, I mean, shout out King of the triple double. Really brought it back.
Yeah,
And
100%.
stop.
Literally yeah, revolutionized it. I haven't looked at triple double leaderboards, which is, I should because we're talking about Russ, but probably has the most triple doubles of all time.
He
Uh,
by far, by far.
really? Okay.
Yeah, he does. He passed Oscar Robertson a while ago, and then Jokic has actually recently passed LeBron. Jokic is now like fifth or sixth all time to LeBron. I
This guy.
believe it goes Russ, Oscar, Jason Kidd, Magic, Jokic, LeBron, maybe Luca, something like that. These young guys are getting that a lot more
Yeah, I
because
mean,
triple doubles are so much more. But
but Russ brought it back. Russ is the
yeah,
one. I
yeah,
triple. I don't
yeah.
know.
It's like the Steph Curry of threes, but for triple doubles
Yeah, honestly,
in a
I
weird
guess
way. Yeah.
Russ brought back high usage basketball, but like
Heliocentric. Yeah. One
that's
guy's responsible for the offense.
that's how a lot of teams play nowadays. Like,
Mhm.
um, I did want to do a little highlights, some little things in the West that
Yeah.
have been interesting to me. The Nuggets are kind of rounding into championship form on defense to me. Like they're fifth in defensive rating, second in crunch time defense, which is really impressive. Like usually in the past, you imagine the Nuggets as a team that's wiping the floor on offense, which,
Mhm.
to be fair, they are. But like with no Jamal Murray and with kind of personnel changes in certain spots, they've still been able to put up a really good defensive rating, which I believe is a lot better of a defensive rating than they had last year, and kind of bodes well for their playoff chances, I think, especially when you come up against a team like the Suns. Um, I don't have too much to say on that. I just want to mention that. Um,
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a tough outcome. They're not going to win a championship ring all because this is a repeat of the 70s when no team went back to back. So that's going to outweigh any great thing that they're doing. But
fair.
in my opinion. But I mean, it just adds another layer of kind of scariness too. And I feel like Jokic really becoming such a consistently more cerebral player. It's only a matter of time before you can kind of figure out situationally where you get to play on defense, pick your spots, not really have to rely on your athleticism, just knowing where people are going to be because you've seen it so long. So, yeah, man, the Nuggets are a tour de force.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might repeat. I don't want to count them out like you based off
No, I'm
like
not.
historical
Yeah,
context.
yeah.
But I think that's valid.
Realistically, yeah,
I think we say this on pod every week, but like the Thunder are now up to first in the West.
yeah.
Uh, it's
You
trade
called that.
deadline. It's trade deadline season. We've
Mhm.
covered it a lot, but like, they almost don't need to get anyone. They're first in the West. Like people have got to chase them now. Um, They are, to me, the second best team in the West in a playoff scenario too, which I think I picked them to be top three in the West in the regular season going into the regular season. I didn't expect this. They are miles ahead of what I expected. Jalen Williams also, he was really good to start the season, etc. He's also just kept it up to a point where it's like they
Mm.
they have three of the most efficient shot creators in the league according to advanced stats. Like three of the top 35 most efficient guys between Chet, Shea, and J Dub. Which I don't know is incredibly impressive to me. I'd love to see them buy, but they're not. You're first in the West, you don't buy, in my opinion. But
Yeah, man. This seems legit.
cool.
They're really good. The playoff experience or lack thereof is always a question mark. Just tough to think of the last time a team that was so young advanced so far with such little playoff experience. But I mean, they look amazing. They completely controlled the flow of the game that the Celtics played against them, and they just tend to be able to beat teams. One team they have lost to recently, Minnesota. Shout out the other number one or tied for number one seed in the Western Conference. That's a really fun dynamic.
I agree. I agree. I'm a little bit colder on Minnesota than you are, I think.
Mm,
But I think my comparison to this Thunder team is like the young Celtics, where it was like year two of Jalen Brown, year one of Tatum, everyone got hurt and they still made the Eastern Conference Finals, right? Um,
mm. Sure.
And like I don't think they could win the finals necessarily, frankly. But if they show up in the Western Conference Finals, are you gonna be surprised? Like,
Not necessarily, bro. Not the way they're playing right now.
yeah, not the way the
Yeah,
West is rolling out. It's not like because
it's
it's not like
true.
the T Wolves have a ton of playoff experience too, you know. Um,
I'd be more surprised than not, though. I think their ceiling right now is the second round, but I think that they're really good.
I think that's pretty fair. I think they'll translate pretty well to the Western Conference style of the playoffs, where like it's a lot of singular big men with four shooters around, and that's
Hmm.
kind of how most teams in the West tend to operate. Um, I don't know. I'm a little bit
Yeah,
worried. I'm still worried about the spacing on the T Wolves come playoff time.
yeah,
I need to be convinced into that first, and I
sure.
don't know if I need to be convinced about the Thunder spacing. That's
The
specific.
Yeah, the Timberwolves don't necessarily. The Thunder don't necessarily need to make a move to what your point of like what they're doing, and the Timberwolves could definitely benefit from going out for somebody that could fill that void.
Yeah, if they could just get another guy who gives them an option to majorly stretch the floor, I think that could be like Luke Kennard last
Mm-hmm.
trade deadline when he went to the Grizzlies, like
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't a guy who was going to play 30 minutes on your team, but it was going to give you the opportunity to throw out another really serviceable, or not even really serviceable, one of the better 3-point shooters in the league.
Right.
And that gives you another option. I'd
Yeah.
like to see stuff like that from the T Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many assets they have after the Gobert trade. So,
Yeah, it's tough, dude. Ugh.
um, another team in the West really quickly is just the Mavs,
Hmm.
Dallas. Luca dropped to plus 1100. Sorry, for MVP odds since our last podcast, where he was plus 700. In that time, he had a 70-point game and has gone on his most craziest tear. Um, I don't know. I can't believe it. I think it's disrespect. I think people are disrespecting the Mavs and specifically disrespecting Luca a little bit.
Um, yeah, I mean it's also weird because now Embiid is out, so one would think that all the playoff odds would have shrunk. Right now, it's looking like Jokic is pretty consistently still he's negative for most betting accounts. And then Shea's not too far off, followed by Giannis and then Luca. Luca's been incredible, what, 35, 11, and 12 or something in his last 10 games. Just having an unbelievable season. Um, he's really good. I want to give a quick shout out to this betting site called Bet365. That is the only betting site that is on our resource link that still has Embiid not only as viable to win the MVP, which he is obviously not, but plus 160 to win the MVP, which is the best odds. So
If you want to go
yeah.
lose some money, if you want to go lose some money right now, go bet on Joel Embiid.
And do it on Bet365. I really don't think that's slander or libel because that's just what they have up, and we happen to be bringing that up. So please don't sue us if we ever make it big. But shout out.
Do you want to talk about the Embiid injury right now?
Yeah. Um, Very sad, very disappointing. Doesn't seem like the season's over yet. A lot of questions on what you do here. Do you try to make some sort of trade so you can kind of keep the ship afloat in case he does make it back in time for the playoffs and can turn it up into a gear that maybe we haven't seen? He looked amazing. So could he keep that up? We love Tyrese Maxey. Or do you kind of let this be what it is, play out the season? Tyrese Maxey just learns how to be the guy completely and can kind of get to that Shea level leading a team, maybe. Um, but very sad, man. He was having such a good season.
He will, yeah. I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway. Just obviously, this is the front runner for MVP. Honestly, getting hurt, disappointing situation. I think he's out for the year. For sure. I personally, that's my opinion. I'm not a doctor here, but I don't think there's a difference there's two types of meniscus surgeries from what I can understand. And one of them, you're good. The other one, you're out for 6 months. And I don't really know that there's a reconstructive meniscus surgery that only takes 2 months. From what I have learned in my brief time texting people at med school that I know and looking on Twitter. But first of all, that's kind of weird to me. I hope so. I don't know. My worry is you can't rush him back. They hurt him. I mean, or he got hurt against the Warriors when he was limping all game. He was going back to the locker room every other quarter. And then they come back and he's got a torn meniscus. I understand there's a games played minimum for your awards. I don't know. I was watching the game. It was pretty irresponsible. It was pretty irresponsible to keep putting him back out there. And then he got hurt on a loose ball and he fully went out of the game. And it's very disappointing. As a basketball fan, I almost would have liked to see him not played. Kendrick Perkins, like a few days before, was like, they should
Mhm.
not play Embiid for the rest of the regular season. People clowned him. For the first time, I agreed with Kendrick Perkins. I was like, holy crap. And now it's disappointing. I hope they don't rush him back. I honestly hope we don't see him for the rest of the regular season or the playoffs. I want to see him reloaded next year. It is what it is. I'm worried that he's
There-
going to be around.
yeah. Could he? Yeah. Could he make it worse? Even more so. I mean, it's a good point. It's disappointing. There's a lot of blame to go around here. On one side, you have the media, which has clowned him, said that he can't do it. He consistently gets hurt in the second round. As much as he loses, he also gets hurt. So it's just been kind of tough for the guy, and he's balling out. And he's so determined to get the MVP because of all these narratives that are going around saying that he's just not that guy. He can't do it. And he was finally doing, he was busting ass, and he was showing everybody that it could be done. And he was playing some of the best basketball I've seen a player play individually. Just his ability to take over a game consistently, be able to bank it that he's going to have 12 points at the end of the first quarter consistently on the number of minutes that he played, something like 34 minutes per game, scoring this amount. So compare that to Wilt. He's like averaging what Wilt's averaging. And just to have that robbed away is so disappointing. That's one side of the argument. On the other side, Joel Embiid, how about you not be such a wuss and stop worrying about what the media is saying and think about your future and think about the rest of the season with the Sixers? Because if you are the guy that you say you are, then rest up, be healthy, and then go kick ass in the playoffs when it matters because we know that you're great.
And we all
So
want to
go
see
do
him.
that. And we want to see it. So, yeah, media, maybe chill a little bit because these words do have impacts clearly on these players that impacts how they play and what changes. On the other hand, though, uh, Embiid, dude, you have this ability to be great, and I get it. It's so hard for an athlete not to be out there and not play, but at the same time, for what at the end of the day?
Yeah. And I guess our frustration comes from a place of really wanting to see him play,
Yeah,
obviously. But it's
yeah,
like, and I'm sure also he wants to play because he has his teammates, his guys he feels close to. He wants to play for Maxi. Like I'm sure that's all the case as well.
totally.
I would love to see him value. This might be like one of the only times I've this heavily advocated for load management. It's just like we've seen the track record so heavily that like I almost don't want to see him play in the regular season. I just want him to be good. Like I want him. He deserves to make a run to the finals. Like
Mm-hmm.
when he's healthy, this guy is insane. And honestly, my worry is that an injury saps away his talent before we can see him carry that team to where it should go. Honestly,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some players can handle that amount of games, some players can't. And if the question is, do we let them not load manage per se, because sometimes it is really annoying, but just listen to your body in a way that does not penalize players for having legitimate injuries or injury concerns, then and it's not like these players don't even want to play. But the point is, who would rather see them play some night on December 7th in the regular season against the Hornets or in the conference finals against the Celtics? It's just such a big difference. That's when people want to see him. And what the NBA here is doing is that's when people care about the playoffs. That's when people want to watch. I don't have the numbers. I don't have the stats that like reflect that viewership. And I get that people want to have these players more in. I think the NBA is doing a solid job of it, but not at the risk of the best talent that you have. I don't
side
know.
question:
Yeah.
Are you pro the awards limit? I don't know if we ever talked about
I
it.
think it's stupid. I think there needs to be a caveat. And
I
the
kind of like.
caveat should be legitimacy of injury, done by an independent mediator of the NBA. Like it, for example, if you don't reach your 65, the default is that you are not qualifiable for an award.
Okay.
But if you have a grievance with it based on legitimate injury concerns, you can take them up with the NBA from an independent contracting service that they would hire.
Like
So I think
arbitration.
that's an arbitration. So I don't know if it necessarily needs to be nixed, but I think about a guy like, I mean, this is a long time ago. Bill Walton won MVP with 58 games. So it can be done. And the best LeBron was has been all NBA several times when he hasn't played that amount of games. There's been so many guys that haven't qualified for the amount of games that have been all NBA and it and so I think that those players historically deserve to be recognized for their contributions as how good of a player you were. If you were the best player every single time you stepped upon the court, but you only played on the court half the time, I think you should be somewhat acknowledged for that. And then final point is if they're going to do it like this, perhaps sever the tie between a supermax deal or financial incentives and being able to win in an award. So those are only some of the things that I would say about it. It could be done a little bit better and more tactful.
I think
So
I think that
yeah,
last point about the super maxes is definitely interesting because I just never love the idea of media people deciding the players' money. Like
and
that's
people have talked about that. People have talked about making that decision. I think Windhorst
yeah.
talked about how he didn't vote for Cat or did vote for Cat, I forget, because of
You
his ability to make that money in a supermax versus a guy that had already qualified for it. So
It was
yeah.
like Beal. Beal also a few years back wasn't going to be eligible for the Supermax if he didn't make an All NBA.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never loved that. I actually really like your idea. I really like your idea of an independent arbiter because, like, let's say Giannis plays 61 games straight, hurt out for the year. Giannis would probably make All NBA,
Right.
but he wouldn't be able to, obviously, because of the 65 game limit.
Mhm.
And not only that, he'd have nothing to show for the season because it's not even like he's load managing. He's missing the playoffs if he got hurt for the rest of the year. So
Right.
that's kind of, I think a situation like that will pop up and it's going to be harder to defend. But in the meantime, I kind of like it. I kind of like the limit. And I wish
Mm.
it lowers the value of the regular season awards, in my opinion, which I'm always for, honestly. Like,
It
that's like,
lo-
it lowers I just,
mm.
regular season awards are awesome and they can tell you a lot about a player, but it lowers the legitimacy slash like validity of the regular season awards a little bit, which generally I kind of like. A little
Is
bit
that because is
more
that because
emphasis
you
on the playoffs.
okay. So yeah, so the ability for one to argue, but this guy has four all NBAs is less valuable than perhaps like what they're doing in the playoff limits.
Exactly, because the NBA is a weird concept where now that there's a play-in system, there's two-thirds of the league makes the playoffs or something that will get you to the playoffs, right? And that's why that's a little interesting to me. That's
Mhm.
purely personal though, and like that's just the only reason I like it. So it's
And that can also be helped by severing the ties between all NBAs and like financial incentives.
which I agree that they should do as well. I kind of tend to think that a player should if they should probably be able to make what they could negotiate for, and there should be some sort of ceiling, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson last season versus Julius Randle last season, per example.
Yeah,
So, and that also, I mean, and so sometimes the legitimacy of the award kind of questions itself because of decisions that are made, such as Julius Randle being picked over Brunson, positions aside. But
yeah. Well, we don't got the positions anymore. Shout out. So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're done. Hey, yo.
which have you seen Bill Simmons' podcast? Like he cannot believe it. He can't stand it. He's
He
gonna.
can't stand it. It's the worst thing. He remembers when he went to the Celtics games in the 1972 as a 6-year-old with his dad watching. No, I mean not 1972, but Bill Walton in 1986 limped down the court as the sixth man. He was a center. Kevin McHale was a power forward. Larry Bird wasn't even allowed to look at the number two as a shooting guard. The positions were defined. God damn it.
Dude, if they saw Wembanyama, if they saw, especially at the time, if they
Right,
saw Wembanyama doing a step back three,
bro.
they would have like, I don't know, phone calls would have been made.
They might have arrested him
That's what I was
for
trying
trying
to allude
something.
to. I was trying to
Yeah.
allude to.
Yeah, bro. He would have been taking a different kind of charge.
Yeah, some four guy doing that back then.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Then
Um,
yelling at you in French.
Larry Bird would have been like, I was better than him.
Yeah, yeah. Man,
Um,
that'll be a debate someday. Not yet. Don't do
someone,
that.
have you seen his defensive dude, his defensive impact numbers? Darko, great stat. Darko, great he has the best Darko, basically, of any young player his age, out of any good defensive player that's in the league right now. Like he's
Yeah.
basically already as good of a defender as JJJ, according to Darko. Like he's he's better than what Gobert was in his 2018 Defense Player of the Year season, according to Darko.
Oh, yeah. You saw that stat
Well,
about like the block
he has more
rebounds and
blocks to
blocks.
steals, and then
Steals, yeah.
that's I was seeing someone else who was doing a deep dive on not only that, but his advanced metrics are better than Gobert and his so.
Mm, man,
I could,
shout
I could
out.
talk about Wimby forever, which is why we try not to talk about him too much on the podcast.
Yeah. Him in the playoffs will be exciting.
Yeah,
That will be a time.
it'll take 7, 8 years at this
Yeah.
rate.
Yeah.
When Doja Cat, I mean Jeremy Sochan, finally develops.
Yo, shout out to Doja Sochan,
Have you
man.
seen those memes on Twitter?
Yeah, they're great. They're awesome.
Um,
Oh.
really quickly, Zach LaVine's out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, man, that's tough. So, no victory lap here because we don't like injury, but there was a podcast and best implications for the Bulls were discussed, and it seemed like there was a consensus about what they should have done.
We
What
should.
happened?
I think we agreed that they should probably make a move, right? And then Rudy, shout out, big ups.
Love
He
him.
did not think they should make a move, but I think we all predicted that they won't make a move, and I think this seals it. They're gonna what's the point of trading Caruso now? Like you might as well keep him around.
Do you still try to do something with Vooch and DeRozan?
Well, DeRozan is expiring, so I kind of think he's just gone. It's
Just
just it is what
somebody.
it is. Like I don't really know who's matching that salary unless it's like Charlotte. Unless Charlotte sends them like, well, if you're Charlotte, what's the point? If
Well,
you
what
Lowry,
about a contender or
it
pseudo contender?
the salary is just so big. Like it
Yeah,
would have to be like the Warriors. Like, and we talked about that on the trade deadline pod.
yeah.
But are the Warriors going from Andrew Wiggins to DeMar DeRozan? Like
Big upgrade.
it's an
Big
upgrade.
offensive upgrade.
It's an upgrade. It's like a difference like 6 years in age. Like, are they, if the Warriors are making a move, are they getting older and then re-signing a max contract to this guy in the offseason? Because that's the thing. Like,
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough, dude. Just letting him walk for nothing. Yeah, it's true. What's
I just
Vooch's
don't.
deal?
Vooch just signed an extension. I believe it's 3 years, 90 million.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So
I
he
think we
can.
covered that in the offseason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That could
So
not look
he.
any worse.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, I could see a team potentially in need for that one. But yeah, to your point, I mean, they have some bright spots now. AO is kind of moving up a little bit, and then Kobe White's been playing like Kobe Bryant.
AO is also IO, not
Hey,
AO. Yo,
oh, good to know.
I think he's been frying, first of all.
Hmm.
I just looked this up. I just cracked me up. Nikola Vucevic on the Bulls trade deadline. We've got enough. Did he think they were buying? Did he think they were gonna go out?
Right, right. Like that's answering a question that wasn't being asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just killing
Like
me.
that's crazy. Like that's a crazy response to a question that wasn't even being asked. Like,
God.
man,
Which is
Vooch,
that's killing me.
Voochie Mane.
Anything else on the current state of the NBA?
Just an exciting state. Yeah, personal anecdote. I went to the Celtics Grizzlies game last night. Went about as expected. Some, I don't know how many players were off of it, but the starting lineup was definitely one for the ages.
Oh yes.
Um,
13 players
here,
out. That
yeah,
what it
dude,
was?
like something insane like that. Let's see, where were they? And then they had as their starting lineup, bum ba da bum, introducing David Roddy, Gigi Jackson, um, Trey Jemison, Luke Kennard. That was the only person I really knew. And then, of course, we have Jacob Gilliard. So
Anthony, do you know how tall Jacob Gilliard is?
he's not very tall. How
He's
tall is he?
5'8".
Shout out, man. Good for him. I mean, he played solidly, honestly. 13 and 6, 2 steals. Scottie Pippen Jr. played pretty well, too. Scored 19 points, team leader in
He's
points.
been he's
So,
been actually really, really good.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure their team roster right now is making up of two two-way guys, three 10-day contract players, and three fully rostered players. That was the squad that they had last night.
Man, good for them.
Um,
So it was kind of I mean, it was a fun game. Tatum played honestly out of his mind. There was one point where he had multiple fast break dunks, and then there was a fast break where he dribbled behind his back and then just hit a step back three instead of driving to the rim because he was so hot. It was one of those like, no, 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 yes kind of shots. But that's what happens when you're up by 25. So,
that's dope though.
um, yeah, it was fun. It was a good game. It was cool to see the first time I think I've ever gone to an NBA game where I didn't immediately recognize a single player on the court. And then I saw Luke Kennard. So shout out.
Honestly, probably the last time that'll happen. Like 13 players out is ridiculous. Like
Impressively bad. Yeah.
impressively bad. And honestly, I was looking at their thing. It's like left knee surgery. It's like the injury designations. It's like there was like one person with like left knee soreness, but like everyone else, it's like torn fibula or like I don't know, but like
Yeah.
feel like brain damage. Like it's like they
Yeah.
have some like crazy injuries. I'm like
Dude.
that sucks.
Oh
But then I
man.
think it was like JJJ was like left elbow soreness. I was like, bro, I just know you didn't want to play, bro. Like,
Dude, yeah, bro. I want to see him play so bad. Defensive player of the year. Knock it off of the bucket list. Load management. I hate
that's
it.
got it. How about Jaren Jackson?
Dude, anybody at this point. Desmond Bain, get on the court, man.
Please give us
I would have given anything to see
Tillman.
D Rose, though. I would have given anything to see D Rose. That's the one guy. I was like, damn,
That's kind
bro.
of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But also had yeah.
I'm
But
just I'm imagining them like trotting out Victor Oladipo in like a wheelchair.
bro, he was nowhere to be found. It was a shame.
Newly acquired. I don't even think we covered that trade. Steven Adams got traded for Victor Oladipo and 4 second round picks, and neither of them will be in the NBA until next year. So
So stay tuned.
yeah, we'll talk about it 8 months from now in the Rocket season preview. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Not much to say there. Do you want to get into All-Star Weekend?
Yeah, man.
February 16th to 18th. We got some fun news about that. My guy, Steph Curry, he's gonna be playing Sabrina Ionescu. I think they kind of revealed it in the mic'd up thing where he was talking to Pajemski and he was like, who's got the 3-point record? Pajemski's like, Sabrina. And Steph was like, yeah. And then Steph was like, I gotta play her sometime. Made it happen. Any first thoughts about that?
It's a really cool idea. Very, very spicy. I think it's going to get a lot of viewership. Ionescu,
Ionescu.
whatever her name is, which will be repeated tons of times in a couple weeks. Kobe Bryant fan, right? So there's that element to it. Played great at Oregon, if I'm not wrong. Then shoots 45% from three on 8 points or 8 attempts per year. She's really stepped it up from her first season. Made it to the finals, got blown out by a super team. What are you going to do? Just exciting, really, really cool. And I think it's going to bring a lot of awareness to the WNBA, which plays a brand of basketball that is definitely different from the NBA and has a lot of elements to it that I really like. So this is really cool. Love that it's happening. And I think it's a cool set-in. I don't know if it's like before the 3-point contest or after or what the situation is there. but very original idea. Whoever thought of this idea should get a raise.
Amazing. I totally agree. It's awesome. She scored 37 in the three-point contest in WNBA.
Shit, that's right.
The overall record before that was Steph Curry with 31. So this was like a slamming.
Yeah,
Which is pretty crazy to me. She made
nuts.
25 of her last 27 shots in that three-point
Yeah,
contest.
yeah, yeah.
Like that's actually
Um,
that's I don't know, that's insane.
so nutty. Do we have to do any of the men versus women comparison stuff?
What do you mean?
People are gonna do that. You know that people are gonna get on there, start making all the sexist comments. If she wins, it's because of something about the distance or the size of the ball. If she loses, then of course Steph would have been like, ugh,
Well, I'm not even gonna dignify any of those comments. Like,
yeah,
fuck it. Sorry. But I just want to
respectfully.
say, like, I just really like that they were both down to do this. Whoever wins, whoever loses, in both cases will probably get hate in some way, shape, or form. Um, I love that Sabrina's willing to do that because you know
Hmm.
what, if to be honest, if she gets slammed, there's gonna be a certain group of people on the internet
Yep.
which is pretty
I told you, blah blah blah. Yeah.
which is insane.
Hmm.
And then on the other hand, just on an NBA perspective, I love that Steph Curry isn't being like too prideful. If he loses, he'll get clowned too. Like it is what it is. Like again, that section of people are gonna be like, "Oh, you got beat by a girl," which is like ridiculous. And I'm glad that he didn't let that get into his head because to be honest, this is the real event to me in this All-Star
Hmm.
weekend. And Steph is making it happen. And I think he's kind of showing up all the dunk contest guys. This guy can't dunk, and he's got the main event in your All-Star weekend, which was basically
Yeah.
made for the dunk contest. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's sick. And one other thing, they're shooting different balls from different lengths. Yeah. They have been shooting that way for years. So you're not about to ask either player to completely switch up their shooting form, their shooting style with different size balls, which make a difference whether you're going closer or further or smaller or bigger. So I don't even that argument, it's gonna come up, it's gonna be annoying, and it's just these players have been playing the way that they've been playing for years, and it's ridiculous to ask them to do anything different. So that's we don't Spittin' Hoops does not spit misogyny on this podcast.
No, we are no, absolutely not.
No.
Also, yeah, this is a WNBA three-point contest
Yeah.
against the NBA three-point contest. Who will win?
Yeah.
This
I
is
and dude, that's a good point. Like Steph is really doing a good job of bringing a highlight to the contest that usually is in post prior years was dominated by the dunk contest. It's
like
sick.
I don't want to like yeah I agree and I don't want to give him too much credit because honestly I think this is like I'd almost be disappointed if he had said no to this if someone had brought him the idea and he had said no like that's like disappointing like so I do appreciate that he's doing this but
And there's something too about players picking the right moments. It felt like when LeBron had that Cleveland All-Star game last year, right? He hit the game-winning shot. That felt like the right moment.
mhm.
Um, Steph Curry is the three-point king. So for him to do this, specifically him, it would have been cool if Klay Thompson did it. It would have been cool if Damian Lillard did it. It would have been cool if Tyrese Halliburton did it. Steph Curry's doing it. And then Ionesco on the other side is one of the biggest names for most fans that don't follow the WNBA too closely. I don't know if she's one of the best. She's not one of the best three-point shooters in the WNBA historically, but she's a great three-point shooter. So this is just really cool.
Yeah. Well, she ball handles way too much. Yeah. She's a triple double machine. Like at some
Yeah,
point, you're just not gonna get open looks. Um,
nutty.
that's all I want to say on that.
Yeah.
I think we got the three-point contest contestants. I
Oh,
don't
who's
think
on it?
I don't think we got the dunk contest ones. Um, honestly, I was just gonna say we could talk about that closer to the Star Weekend. I kind of want to get into this rookie sophomore stuff if you're
Oh
down.
yeah, hit it.
Because I'm excited. These teams are kind of lit.
Hmm.
You're gonna have Chet, Scoot, Brandon Miller, Victor Wembanyama, Koulibaly, shout out. Just want to slide him in there
Yeah.
against guys like
Pajimski, Derek Lively. Jaime Jaquez.
You're gonna have them playing against Jalen Williams. Chet against Jalen, that'll be fun. You're gonna have them playing against
Yeah.
Paolo Banchero.
Mm-hmm.
Paolo dunking on Wemby in the rookie sophomore game.
Sheesh.
The level of this rookie sophomore game is actually gonna be like fantastic. Like,
Yeah,
and honestly, excuse me if I say this, I think the rookie team might be a little deeper.
it might be.
You get to
Yeah.
Jaden Ivey really quick on this list. And I really like Dyson Daniels, and I do really like Jaden Ivey, actually. I think they'll both be good.
Shaden Sharp, though. Keegan Murray almost set a 3-point record recently. Walker Kessler's had a bit of a slump, but still really good. And Jalen Duren's that dog.
Jalen Duren finally gonna get to play with a good NBA team. So shout out.
Yeah, dude. Yo,
He's turned.
so much better than the Pistons, dude.
He's turned. He could have played for the
Yo.
rookie team and still be better than the Pistons.
Yo, could these teams combined make the playoffs if you took the best 12 players on these teams?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Paolo, that's a fantastic question, first of all. Elite.
Thank you.
Brandon Miller.
Okay.
Wemby Chet. You just start both of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wemby
Brandon Miller.
Chet,
Paolo.
Paolo. Yeah. Jalen Williams.
Oh, so no Brandon Miller, sorry. Jalen
Yeah,
Williams.
yeah. Keegan Murray coming off the bench. Derek Lively coming off the
Wait,
bench.
that's
Jaime Jaquez coming off the
yes.
bench.
Yes. 100%.
Cason Wallace.
100%.
Um,
That 100%.
yeah,
That team's better than the Lakers. That team's better than the Warriors.
bro. Yeah.
I mean,
Shaden Sharp averaged 20 points per game last year.
Wemby and Chet are averaging like 15 and 20 and 15 respectively.
Yeah.
It's like,
Nuts. Man, this would be sick.
wait, now I'm like thinking about it. Imagine like, all right, we got to go to the bench. Jalen Duren is just like getting boards. Like,
Yeah,
that'd be turned.
that would be sick.
I don't know. The
You know,
Lakers,
Jalen Duren went to Monte Carlo High School. Same as same as Cade Cunningham.
oh,
Monte Verde.
yeah. Was that the no, that wasn't the same team that they were on. The goated, the 2021 Monteverde, the legendary.
I think it might have been a little before, but I'm not sure.
Or it might have been right after because I think Jalen Duren's younger, but
Mm-hmm. But yeah, quick shout out.
shout out. Well,
Um,
half the players in the NBA went to that school. I'm pretty sure Ben Simmons and Jordan Poole went there too, or something like that. It's
dude,
ridiculous.
so many guys did, yeah.
Um, are they better
Yeah.
than 2016 Chino Hills? That's the TikTok question, by the way. Just
That's that's the scuttlebutt on the
well,
TikTok
'cause
app.
Chino Hills had LiAngelo. No, they had LaMelo, Lonzo, and I think they had Onyeka Okongwu.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, yeah, they were teammates, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had Onyeka.
Damn.
Regardless, we're talking about 2015 high school basketball. So
Let's
it's
go, dude.
time to move on. One little snub, Thompson twins. Would have liked to see them. I don't think they've been bad enough to merit not making it when they're top 5 picks. And then you go down the list, and I don't know who I'd take out for them. So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I like Case and Wallace, and I think Scoot probably should make it too, but you know,
Who Franz is a third year, right?
Yeah.
Franz Wagner, he's a third year.
Yeah.
No second year guys that are snubby dubbies here.
that's what I'm saying. We got to Jaden Ivey quick,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
you know.
Huh. Yeah, fair enough.
I think
Man.
it's gonna be lit. This will
Yeah,
actually
it's
be
gonna
one of
be good.
my like ones to watch
This is
for
a watch, yeah.
um lit. I mean, Wemby and Chat on the same team. The first alley-oop between them is gonna feed family. It's gonna be sensational.
Yeah, dude.
It's gonna be amazing.
Bro, it's gonna be like when Luca hit that half court buzzer beater at halftime, and
With
then there's that
Trey
clip
and
of him
Trey.
and Trey,
Yeah.
laughing. It's so sick.
Legendary stuff.
Love it. Tim Hardaway versus Deion Waiters 3-point shooting in the. Do you remember that one?
My God, they were like, and Kyrie too. Do you remember he got it?
Yeah.
Kyrie was like too good for the like Deion Waiters and Hardaway needed to like go at it, like
Yeah.
dude,
Just
legendary
wild stuff. Yeah.
content. That's
So
all I got
exciting.
on the rookie sophomore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. And then we got the rest of the All-Stars came out.
Mhm.
Yeah. Pretty sweet.
Do you want to run through them?
Up through them. Yeah. So in the East, the starters, you got Giannis, Tatum, Embiid, Halliburton, and Dame. Ironically, Dame's first All-Star starter selection. Seems like a legacy thing. Whatever. But in the reserves, we have Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell. Congratulations, fifth-time All-Star. Julius Randle, Jason Tatum, also fifth-time All-Star. Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brown, Paolo Banchero, first time, and then Bam. Two IR reserves expected to be. Max, what do you think of the reserves, and who do you predict might come into the wings?
Yeah, I think that mostly it's pretty clear here. Like, I think there's two guys who really got snubbed in the East, and it's like Jimmy and Trey. I don't know if I have deeper analysis than that, honestly. Like, I really think Trey is what 25 and 12 this season. Like Jimmy,
Been
I
balling.
personally think Jimmy probably should have made it over Julius Randle. If you're a stats guy, you probably like Julius Randle, but that's just how I feel on it.
That might pretty much be it. Franz could have had an argument if he hadn't gotten injured,
Are we early
but
on Paolo? Are we early on Paolo?
I don't think so. 23, 8, and 5 with close to he could be puncher vote away from the fifth seed in the East. I don't hate it.
I okay, that's fair. I like Paolo a lot. I don't know if he's a super efficient player just yet, despite his shooting. I
No.
think some of his shot profile is a little ugly,
Yeah.
frankly. Um, I don't know. He'll be an all-star next year and for the rest of his career starting next year. So
Right,
in
right,
my
right.
eyes, it felt a little early. The thing is, I
Yeah.
probably would have put, you know, if it was up to me, I would have had Jimmy. Like
Mm,
I just want Jimmy in this All-Star game. Like, frankly, kind of done doing the whole thing where Jimmy doesn't make the All-Star team and then beats
makes
your
all
favorite
NBA.
beats your
Yeah,
favorite
that
team in the
too. That
playoffs.
too. Yeah.
Like we've seen it enough and he's scoring 20 a game. Like I don't need to see that much more. But I probably would
Mhm.
have put in Paolo as injury replacement.
Sure. Other couple other guys, huge fan vote talks for Derek White. And I love him. This just isn't the and Kristaps Porzingis too. I thought he deserved to have an All-Star. A lot of injuries though, but absolutely balling with the Celtics this year. We have four All-Star level players, but this is not the 2014 Hawks when the Eastern Conference was pretty garbage and you had Jeff Teague and Kyle Korver making it. It's just not that anymore. So
I agree.
it's
And
yeah.
and like as much as I don't think Randall should have made it when a guy's dropping 25 a game, it's like it's gonna be hard to put a guy's drop 22 a game, you know,
Mm, yeah.
over that guy.
Yeah.
But I think my predictions that our replacements are gonna be Jimmy and Trey. And I think the
Yeah.
deserving. I Trey's a weird one because I really think Trey should have made it, but I don't feel as strongly about it as Jimmy. Like I feel more willing to fight over the Jimmy case than the Trey case. I don't know, but
Right, because to your point, we've seen him do it. This might also have to be where it's who do you want to see in the All-Star game? Celtics fans want to see Derek White in the All-Star game. The NBA wants to see Trae Young in the All-Star game. So we should do what the NBA wants. And the NBA also, I'd love to see Jimmy Butler in the All-Star game. He's an obvious All-Star. He kicked our ass in the playoffs. He kicked a lot of teams in the East staff's playoffs. And he's just been that guy. So I'm with you. I think those are the two guys that probably will make it. And I wouldn't hate it if a Celtic made it. I don't really see who else is in there though.
I think I predicted Scotty Barnes to make it and when we
He could
talked
be a
about this
guy.
3 weeks ago, but
You're
he
right.
also really he's been weird about finding a role since the quickly RJ trade. They're a
And the
lot more quickly ball dominant
and the
now.
Raptors just aren't good enough. They're just completely out of the picture of the playoffs. So
Yeah.
tough to say that.
As much as the Hawks are 10th, which isn't great already, but like there's a difference between Trey Young dropping 25 and 12 on the Hawks who are 10th than
Yeah.
like Scotty Barnes on the Raptors, you know.
And don't look now, but the Bulls are sorry, the Hawks rather are 5 games up on the Raptors and they're on a 4-game winning streak. So watch out, Miami Heat, who have not been great. They've been 2-8 in their last 10. As an aside, they've been
They had a players only meeting. Did you see the report of this?
no, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah, they had a
whoa.
players only meeting. What? Because they went on a 5, 6 game streak, losing
Yeah, they were
streak.
bad. Yeah.
And
7 game losing streak, yeah.
apparently they had they had a big players only meeting, and Jimmy was very vocal.
Good.
I'm sure they when a team's led by Jimmy Butler, I'm sure it's not the first one they'll have this season. Probably not the last one. I'm sure they
Yeah.
had multiple last year too. So it's like
Yeah.
it is what it is. I'm not tweaking too hard. If
Mhm.
if the Celtics had a player was only meeting tomorrow, then I'm like, well, but
Yeah, I'd be like, yo, who insulted the other person's hair? Me, look at me, I'm a diva. Anyways, that's personal. But that's the Celtics for you. In the West, let's get out of the East. So we have Luca, KD, LeBron, Shea, and I am forgetting Jokic as the starters. On the bench, Devin Booker. Steph gets his 10th, I believe, All-Star appearance. Funny, I remember there was a commercial where Steph and Sue Bird are in it together, and Steph's has 6 All-Star rings at this time. And he's one of those players that kind of blossomed a little bit later, so has a
yeah.
couple fewer All-Stars than somebody would expect, like a Kawhi. And Sue Bird's, it's like just a great commercial where she's like, hey, we the guy comes out, hey, thank you for being the best player, 3-time champion, when at the time he had 3 rings, one of the best players of all time, one of the best shooters of all time. So here's your ring. And then she makes fun of him for only having 6. And he's like, well, I'm trying. And she was at 11. So he's almost there. So shout out Steph. AD, going off that tangent, AD, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, who we both kind of predicted should be an all-star, or at least I thought deserved to be, but wasn't gonna be. So very happy that he made it. One of the smoothest players in the league. And then Cat and Kawhi. So what do we think about this list?
Overall, I mean, I think the list is pretty good. I don't know. I think there's one big snub, probably Fox. And I'm
Close to
like
bone.
pretty I think it's
Yeah.
pretty I think it's pretty egregious. Towns and Paul George respectfully getting in over Fox. Like, I don't know. I can't really reason that. 27.5 points per game for De'Aaron Fox. Like, just, I don't know. There's just levels. He's just a lot better than Paul George and Towns in my eyes right now. I don't know.
This goes to a bigger point that is the All-Star team has always had 12 spots. This includes when there were 9 friggin' teams in the NBA. 9. We're up to 30. We've tripled the amount, more than tripled the amount of teams in the league, and we still have the same number of All-Stars besides injured reserves. That is ridiculous. With that logic, that means back when it was the 60s and all the TV was black and white, you had absolute bums who were making the All-Star team. By that logic, we should have 25, no, 12 times 3 and change. We should have 38, 39 All-Stars every single year because on both conferences. That's how good this league is. We need to make it at least 15 and then include injured reserves. I think and then if you have to do the last 6 from both conferences to kind of make sure that there's like a good balance, you're not scraping the bottom of the barrel with one, fine, so be it. The league is too good. I don't know what we're doing because a guy like De'Aaron Fox shouldn't be kicked out of the All-Star game because a guy like Paul George, who also is an All-Star level player, isn't as good and makes the team. Like, it's just dumb.
The players don't even want to play in it. Give
In
them.
the play, where's that on the list, right? Curry Ionescu, Rising Stars, 3-point shootout, dunk contest.
I will probably not watch this All-Star game. Frankly,
I'll watch a bit, but yeah, not much.
if I'm busy at all, I'll probably miss it and watch it later. Like, honestly, I'll watch
Mhm.
the Sabrina Ionescu, Steph Curry stuff. I'll probably watch the dunk contest. I am a sucker for the dunk contest. Like, I love the dunk contest just on a personal level. So I'll probably watch that. But I don't know. Like,
Dude,
I think it's cool and all, but this doesn't need to be a discussion about why the All-Star game needs to be improved because honestly, I don't really feel strongly about. I think it kind of serves its purpose. We all come together, we celebrate the top 14 players in the NBA. Um, but let's come together and celebrate the top 30. Why not?
right. Let's add to it.
Yeah. I
I
actually them not expanding this is way more egregious than like doing no positions on the all NBA. Like I actually can't I'm pretty surprised that All-Star wasn't expanded before something more drastic like that.
right. Such an archaic rule.
Yeah. And there's a lot more tradition with all NBA. I don't know.
Hmm.
Compared to
Right.
All-Star. All-Star is like a a celebration, it's for views. You do a top
Uh,
75 celebration during it.
right.
We're talking about Blake Griffin jumping over cars and Aaron Gordon spinning around with the Magic mascot, but like,
Well, they just serve different functions. One seems to be more the statistical of the NBA, and the other one seems to be the poetry and the history of it, with sort of rose-colored glasses and everything like that. So it's cool. Idea. What if the now that it's back to East West, the winners of the conference, it's something like either 50K goes to each player on the team that they're playing for, or something like there's a $5,000 bonus for every single player in that conference, or something like that. You got something to play for now for your homies.
I kind of like it, but I don't want them to play for it. I don't want Joel Embiid trying to play in the All-Star game. Like I'm not too pressed to make this a place where the NBA players try really hard, frankly. Like it doesn't really count as a part of the NBA season. It's cool, but I actually really like the ladder system that they've been using where like, you win a quarter, you win the next quarter, and it might actually make it so that the fourth quarter is worth something. Because that's really the only opportunity you have is if you keep the
Mhm.
game close in the fourth quarter and competitive nature kind of takes over.
Yeah.
That's the only real chance you have to making this a really entertaining game, in my opinion. If
Are
they're
they keeping the format like that? Or are they change? I thought they changed it back to a normal like clock. I don't know. Or
I
they
hope
might have changed away from the Elam ending, which is awesome. I love that ending. It's so good.
it's and it was never gonna bat 100% because
Yeah.
if another team if a different team won like if the same team won like three straight quarters, it is what it is. Like no matter what
Right.
ending, that's always gonna be tough.
Right. Right.
But like that was I really like that Elam ending because it was like that's your only route to having competitive nature naturally take over. And I also don't
Right.
outside of that, like I don't if the East is down 15 against the West in the All-Star game, but Dame Lillard feels like he really needs to try to prove it to his teammates that he cares
Yeah.
about them and then gets hurt, like I'm gonna be pissed. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
And Dame
Yeah.
probably should feel that way. Like if there was money on the line for all of his teammates, he probably would go hard. But
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know.
I do like the Elam ending a lot more because the final points are the most high pressure versus in a timed thing. A lot of times there's not a lot of game like time left on the clock and it's just not interesting to watch anymore. So
Yeah.
those buckets just aren't very high pressure. Yeah.
I
Uh,
think oh yeah, overall I'm just not I agree. I don't know. I'm not pressed to revolutionize this game. I don't know about you. If you
mm.
would you ever do the baseball thing? The
When
the
where it used to determine
All-Star
the
winner. Yeah, All-Star winner gets home court.
well, yeah, I mean they did change it recently. Um
They
Did you
changed.
know that? Yeah, the MLB changed it. Yeah, that
Oh
rule
yeah,
stopped in like
yeah, yeah,
20
yeah.
something.
No, I
But when
I
they had it,
I
yeah,
didn't.
oh yeah. But when they had it, I thought it was very high stakes. It was cool.
I thought it was cool and it was high stakes, but I felt like it also got to a point at the end. Like I might be remembering this wrong because this is on the back end of when the Giants were good, and then there's a gap in
Yeah.
my baseball memory for a while. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like by the end, the reason they changed it is because a lot of teams were like still not trying because you're not going to throw out like at the time Adam Wainwright's like crazy good. You're not going to throw Adam Wainwright in an All-Star game for 7 innings.
It's
Even
kind
if
of cool though. Yeah, that's true. Well, you don't need to because you got Clayton Kershaw. You got Zach Greinke coming off.
no,
Like
you
that's
have
why you
Tim
don't.
Lincecum. You have Tim Lincecum
Yo.
locked and loaded.
Yeah,
Fat King.
bro. Oh, man.
Dynasty.
Yeah,
Dynasties on
yo.
dynasties in the Bay Area. Lock in.
Dude.
New
Yeah,
one
bro.
starting on Sunday, by the
Yeah,
way. Warriors. I mean, not Warriors. Niners.
we'll talk about that another pod.
Spitting, what is it, spitting feet? Hey, no,
Spit,
no,
yeah,
no,
spitting
no.
feet. Yo. Okay. Why don't we give the fans a little spin and we could talk about what we think is going to happen in the Super Bowl real quick.
Okay. A lot of overly mad people about nothing, like the Taylor Swift and the Travis Kelce stuff.
Complete incel BS.
Yeah. But then Patrick Mahomes, he leads the team back on a late drive, 27-24. He scores seven, 31-27. 9 seconds left. Brock Purdy, Hail Mary, catch by Kyle Juszczyk. Book it.
And there you have it.
Kyle
That,
Juszczyk wins Super Bowl MVP.
man, if something of that ilk happens, I don't know what we do. File for tons of money coming our way. We got to figure out something.
Well, I would, yeah, I don't know. That'd be first of all, Kyle Shanahan would need his cranium checked for putting a fullback out there on a Hail Mary. That's like down the list of things that would be wrong.
Yeah. So your heart obviously wants the Niners, and your head says the same or different.
My head says that Patrick Mahomes beats us in a last second touchdown, as Patrick Mahomes does, and I get depressed about the Niners for another half decade. I don't know.
Word. My prediction is that you also wake up depressed. Unfortunately.
That was the worst. This is why we don't have a football pack. You're just like, yeah, the Niners are gonna get waxed. No analysis. It's like, I don't know. I could give you the whole analysis that I think all the position players on the Niners are better and their defense is probably a little bit better. But frankly, it's probably the best Chiefs defense we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Shown us in 2 straight playoff games they can put enough points on the board because again they have Patrick Mahomes. It's like
They're good.
yeah, and the Niners are probably. I'm pretty sure in Vegas the Niners are favored.
Yeah, they are.
And in some way they probably deserve to be, but on the other
Yeah.
hand, the other team is Patrick Mahomes. So it's like,
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah, I mean, look, I would be thrilled to be the favorite / probably underdog in a Super Bowl right now. But those times are long gone for a Boston fan.
you had enough. You had enough, bro. And your boy
Yeah.
can't even get a job no more. What happened?
Dude, he's looking okay. You know, sometimes you need to go to Cancun for a bit and relax. Ugh, we'll get there. We'll get a quarterback. We'll figure it out.
He's that Quinn Snyder. Disappear for 2 years, come back.
Just don't come back to the Patriots. We've had enough. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Love you, Bill.
I'm weak. With that, I mean, I got nothing else for you, Anthony.
Sounds good, man. Yo, shout out all the guys that we've talked about. Maybe Paolo shouldn't be an all-star quite yet. Shout out Curry. Shout out Ionescu. Shout out Luca. You should be more favored on the NBA's MVP list. And shout out Zach LaVine. We hope that you figure it out, man, with your knees. It's always tough. Is that why he got injured, his knees?
Yes.
It would make sense, man. Tough for him, though. And we'll see if the Bucks can figure it out. Until then, we will be chilling here spitting hoops. Y'all take it easy.
He's out.